Welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Sabine, the Purpose Lawyer. Thank you for listening and thank you for helping me be on purpose. I promise this is the last episode where you're going to see this logo. A new logo will be up next time. And so today I'm really super excited. I'm not going to be, taking up too much of your time in the beginning because I have an interview that I've been really waiting for. Really excited to get this person on the podcast. She is an amazing attorney. She's considered the GOAT, the guru, however you want to put it, in the areas of trademark law. She has been seen everywhere. She's been on CSBC, on Bloomberg, on USA Today, and she's extremely respected in the field. And I'm so excited. You guys are just going to be so excited to hear this interview. Even if you're not an attorney, there is so much that you are going to get from this interview. We talk about all the things, and she keeps it real like no other. So before we get into that, I wanted to talk to you guys about something I've been working on. And it kind of plays into, continuing this whole legacy conversation and what it is, what does it mean to be building a legacy? And one of the things that is important that I found in building your legacy is to continue to build yourself up, to continue to grow yourself and to increase your education, your learning, right? Because the better we are, the more we have to give. And so one of the things that I've been working on is a course. And my course is to teach other attorneys and perhaps paralegals and real estate professionals the practice of real estate law. There is nothing out there like this. Trust me, I know because I would have purchased it if it existed, right? I learned the hard way, and I didn't do this course on my own. I worked with my good friend, Crystal Young. She was on the podcast before, and she is amazing. She is extremely respected in the real estate field and very knowledgeable. And what we did was, we know that you go farther together. So we partnered up together. We sat down and we came up with all of the secrets, all of the how-tos, all of the ways to help you get clients from the contract to the closing table in 30 days. So the name of the course is secretly, successfully practicing real estate in 30 days. We're teaching you everything there is to know about handling real estate transactions. And we're so excited for you to experience this, for you to partake in it. So the links to that will be in the comments, will be in the description so that you can take part, or you can let someone know who you know needs to have this information. And so back to my guest, she is no stranger to courses. She is one of the first attorneys that I know who has created a course, and she really inspired me to come up with the idea for this course because I know that I was filling a void, that there was nothing out there that I would have really appreciated when I first got started. And Sonia did the same thing. Her name is Sonia Lakhany. She changed so many lives, and she is really just an amazing person. When you guys hear everything that she has to say, you'll know why I'm a fangirl. Okay. She's like the Beyonce of lawyers. So don't judge me. All right. Stay tuned for this interview. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Hello, Sonia Lakhany.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I so appreciate you.
Girl, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. So
Y-
excited. Thank you.
Yes, for my audience, for those of you who don't know, Sonia is considered the guru, the GOAT, just trademark law number one. But number two, she is one of the very first attorneys who have sort of created courses behind teaching other attorneys how to practice, which is amazing because nobody teaches you how to do things unless you work for somebody,
They really
right? So thank you. I just wanted to celebrate you for that first and foremost, because I know you changed a lot of lives and you've provided a lot of value to many, many women, especially women of color. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's still sometimes I'm like, wait, was that me? Like it's hard sometimes, even like when you look back, you're like, wow, that all happened really fast
Right.
in a way. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me, Sonia, how did you? Well, first, I guess the number one question we always ask attorneys, right? We always get asked, what? How did you decide that you wanted to get into law? Like, where did that start for you?
Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm Middle Eastern, in case you couldn't tell, and our mothers are extremely overbearing, and
Okay,
they just basically tell you what you're gonna do.
got
And
it.
in our culture, like we have like an accepted, like maybe max 3 occupations, career path that you can have: doctor, lawyer, some sort of engineer, like technicality. So, like, my mom basically forced me into law school.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that sounds cool, like, but I think she had dreams of me being like, like this like star attorney, jury trials, like gotcha murder,
Mm,
putting people, the bad guys away, that kind of stuff. And
right.
I went totally the wrong direction. Haven't seen the inside of a courtroom since the beginning of my career. And like, yeah, I'm like, I wonder if she's still like, if this is what she had in mind. But
Right.
that's how I ended up in law. But as far as trademarks, total fluke. So
Mm-hmm.
I, got to law school and hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Hated every minute of it. I am not
Mm,
a studious type. I'm
okay.
much more like a big idea thinker and like doer. And
Got
so
it.
all that reading, all that class really wasn't suited for my personality. And unfortunately, I didn't realize that until it was like I was already there.
Okay.
And trademarks was this class that was filling a schedule gap. I wanted 4-day weekends.
Mm.
And I was like, I hate it here. I want this to be over. I want 4-day weekends because I'm lazy. And it filled like I think it was like a Thursday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon gap.
Right.
So I chose it based off of the schedule. I didn't even know what a trademark was. I had no idea.
Wow.
My friend was like, look, if we structure it this way, we'll have 4-day weekends. And I got there and I was like, wow, this is the only class that I went to religiously, never
Mm.
ditched it, never like skipped over it. I did all my reading, sat front and center, got an A+ on the exam. Like I
Wow.
loved it. And I was like, wow, if I'm going to do it, this is what I want to do. If I have to do this whole law thing, this is the only kind I want to do. And at that time I had no idea about like the perks of practicing trademarks, like
Wow.
the lifestyle and stuff like that. I just knew that I was just like, I just didn't hate it. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, that's kind of how it all started. So
Wow. I
yeah.
love how real you are with it because a lot of us feel like that. Like, I actually enjoyed law school, but then everything after law school, I was like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like no one tells you, like there's an
No one
awful
tells
lot of
you.
reading in this whole, people are like, oh, I love to argue. I'm like, I hope you know that ain't it. Like, I hope you know that has
Exactly.
nothing to do with it. So
You
yeah.
might get 5 minutes of that, but otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how, yeah, I'm very honest about how it started because
Mhm.
it grew into a love and it grew into a passion,
Okay. Mhm.
but it didn't start out that way at all.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
when you finished law school, did you get that dream job of working as a trademark attorney?
I graduated in 2010, which
Okay.
was like society had tanked. Like, I mean, well,
Mhm.
we thought that was rock bottom. I mean, if you're watching this now, you know that we have now since hit rock bottom several times since then.
Exactly.
And we are sitting in rock bottom, y'all, right now. Like, I'm waiting for the ceiling to cave in right now.
Right.
No, but it was, as we knew it, it was right after the '08 crash, this and that. And so,
Yes.
yeah, that was another thing. I was like, oh, if I just force myself through this 3 years of misery, I'll get a 6-figure job. And oh my God, Chanel bags and Mercedes. And that was
Exactly.
where my head was at that time,
Mhm.
and no, it was not the case. My first job
Mhm.
out of law school as an Emory educated licensed attorney, 17 bucks an hour, y'all.
Mm.
17 bucks an hour. And it was at a medical malpractice firm in like a basement,
Mm.
like in DC.
Oh,
Because
wow.
that's a lot. For personal reasons, I ended up in DC, and
Okay.
that's where I was trying to find a job. And yeah, no, so no, none of that happened. It took me 2 years and no, sorry, 1 year at that position to then transition. And I'm famous. I was a job hopper. Again, keeping it real. Like I did
Yeah.
everything. I was like, it's just,
You're
I
like,
was like,
I'm
I
doing
hate
my
it. I'm
doing it my
somewhere
own
else.
way.
I'm just going to do this my own way because I was like, I'm not going to be unhappy. I've already been unhappy for 3 years in this
Mm.
miserable academic portion.
Mhm.
So I switched jobs and then, allowed me to start doing a little bit of trademark. And then that was on my own and kind of like bringing it into the firm. It
Mhm.
was a personal injury firm. And
Oh,
my
okay.
boss was like, look, if you want to do that shit on your own time, but I'm not involved. I don't want to know. Like,
Right.
that's all. And I was just doing stuff on the side at night. Like, I was filing people's trademarks for free
Mm.
to like just get the experience. And then that was actually enough. That story was enough to actually land me a trademark position. And
Oh,
then from
nice.
then on, I switched firms again and again. And I did that for 5 years. And then there wasn't anything magical about it. I just woke up one day, again, keeping it real. I woke
Mm.
up one day and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I just resigned. I had no
Wow.
plan. Literally nope. I just was like, but I just bet on me every single time. And that's something that
Right.
I definitely want to make sure that like we talk about and share today because it's such a focal
Yeah.
point of my career path and my own way is just that mindset of I bet on me and I don't have it all planned out and I may not know and God doesn't give you the manual ahead of time, but you just have
Right.
to at least rest very clearly in that footing, like whatever it is. They say like you'll build a parachute on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
That's been me. And so, yeah, I woke up one day and resigned on January 31st, 2015.
Wow.
And here
This
we
is
are.
before it was cool
Yeah.
to quit your job.
Ballsy, real ballsy. Just, yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very. So what gave you that sort of that grit or that sort of like personality where you like, I'm just gonna bet on me. Like it's me or nothing.
I don't know where I got it from. I
Mm,
assume it's genetic because I have two brothers and
okay.
my middle brother is the same way. We're cut from the same cloth.
Mm.
And he has like not had a real actual job working for someone since he was 19. He is now 41.
Oh
And he
wow.
has just made his way up, down, left, right. And so I saw that inspiration from him, that grind. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what it is? I think just realistically, I think like I was like, there's no reason not to because it is just me. And I famously say that I don't know if it would have been the same for me had my situation been different. Like, not
Mm-hmm.
that I had like rich parents or like the opposite thereof. Like,
Okay.
I have the immigrant minority story, all of that. But
Okay.
like, I've seen success stories of people who have like infants on their hip and, marriages and stuff like that. But I had none of that. It was just me. So for me,
Okay.
it was like logically, what? So I can't get my nails done a couple of months in a row? Like,
Right.
big deal. So to me, it was just like, why not roll the dice and see what happens? And at worst, I'll go get another job. It is just me at the end of the day. Right. So yeah,
Right.
that was
Yeah.
kind of my thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So is your view that do you think we all have that? That we can all bet on ourselves? Because you say you want people to sort of get that they can bet on themselves, you know? Do you feel like everybody has that? What are your thoughts?
I think we have it in us. I think imposter syndrome is sometimes the curtain that
Mm,
hides it. I think we
absolutely.
get into our own heads. And I think, what I would say to, you haven't asked the question, but people ask it all the time. Like,
Mm,
how did you get so successful? Or what do you think the secret is? Or if
mm,
you could get one piece of advice, it's not some magical sales training course or read this one book or whatever. There's been a lot of stuff like education wise that's
yeah.
contributed, but I'm like, get your mind right.
Mm,
But get your mind right. And whatever
yeah.
it takes to do that aspect of it, unlock your money inhibitors, unlock your childhood traumas, whatever it is that you've been through, because we all have a story, but
Mm-hmm.
unlock whatever it is telling you that it's not in the cards for you. Like the
Mm,
number one reason I got to where I am and whatever it is, right, that you could even say is because I just felt like I deserved it. I felt like it was in the cards for me. And it was just a matter of like getting there. But you have
mm-hmm.
to believe it's in the cards for you. And that is like not an overnight thing. And but I believe people can get there. I think you can work on your mindset. I think everybody has it in them, but it is a journey to figuring out like, why don't I think I deserve to have, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a business where I work 5 hours a week and make $1 million a year? Like you
Yeah.
say that to someone and they're like, there's no such thing. I'm like, why not? Tell me why.
Right.
Who told you that you couldn't? Who told you?
Right.
Right. So unlock all those inhibitors and start to challenge your own thinking. When you tell yourself, oh no, making 50 grand a month, that's insane. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Who told you? Who told you it's insane? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say. I think people have it in them, but you've got to work to uncover it because some of us, it's more forward than some of us, it's a little bit more hidden and buried.
Yeah, I think you're hitting it right on the money because for me, mindset has been a really big thing and unlocking little parts like you're saying, like where I'm seeing, oh, you had limitations here, you had limitations here. And you were one of the first people who highlighted that you can have as a solo attorney a multiple six-figure business. You know what I mean? And that's not something that, before was common because solo attorneys would basically make next to nothing, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so I love that. I love that that is
Thank
all in the
you.
mindset. Yeah.
It is. And also, I will add here, because I know kind of the theme of what we're thinking. We have this in common, both being women of a minority descent.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm a daughter of immigrants as well. And like that all plays into the mindset and believing that you can or that you deserve it or whatever. I mean, there
Hmm.
are so many factors that go into that. But I think particularly, there's a common thread among, and not for everybody, because I don't want to generalize, but we
Right.
definitely have a common denominator in our childhood story as
Right.
minority women,
Hmm.
women of color, where like you need to just be satisfied with just whatever that cap is. And that ceiling is delivered to you at a very young age, unwritten. It's
Right.
just what you saw. And so it's
Mhm.
really hard for us to picture a life that's better than what we had. You really have to think beyond
Right.
that. And I think that's something that we really hold in common. You see your parents struggling with money, or, with debt, or, with having bad credit and just making ends meet and just enough and
Right.
saving, or like waiting for the next payday to make this next payment, or what, always being on a payment plan or whatever,
Right.
you saw, right?
Mhm.
That plays so much into what we have just decided is okay for us also, right?
Right.
Like
Mhm.
it's just, I still have this thing no matter what has happened. It's like I saw my mom, growing up, she would like rarely buy something if it wasn't on sale, especially big
Mm.
ticket. And
Yeah.
that is still a thing. I mean, God has been so good to me, and it's like I've been blessed with so much, but I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna wait for Black Friday. Why? For that sweater? Are you serious? Like, if you want to just buy it, but it's like that. It's stuck in your brain, right? So we all are in some version of that race, but you're never really done. But
It's
I mean,
true.
it's a big thing that we particularly deal with as women of color, and children of parents of color. I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's true. You said so many things that were right on point, but definitely the sale part, always looking for a sale. And it's
Yeah,
like, even now, I'm still trying to unprogram myself to like get out of that. Like, okay, if you want it and you can afford it, then just buy it.
like it's
Like, stop. It's
okay if
okay.
you really want it. If it's gonna make you. Oh, my mom thinks I'm insane that I have an assistant. She's like, okay, bougie, and I'm like, but like, right, because I mean, my parents would have never dreamed that anybody from their descent line would have, like, it seems insane, right? It
Right.
seems absolutely insane. um there's another joke that I have with my friends, that
Mhm.
like it's rare that you'll catch people of color actually buying napkins from the store. We just have a stockpile of like extra Starbucks and Chipotle napkins. Like, you always grab a little extra for like the
Right.
drawer. Why are we
I
like
have
this?
no
I will tell you
idea.
firsthand that a big 200 pack of napkins is like $3.99. I spent more than that on this coffee this morning. Like,
Right.
why are we like this? But there's
It's so
just certain
funny.
things you just can't. I know now I'm 36 years old, y'all, and I buy my own napkins, but for damn sake, like, there was a long time where I was like, it just seems like a waste. Like,
Yeah, it's like,
why
but
are we
these are
like this?
free. Why don't we just
Yeah, they're free. Just take a few every time you buy something legitimate. Take a few extra. It's like, why are we like this? But you have to laugh. But it is that wiring. That's
Yeah.
like a lighthearted version. But there is some very deep wiring that is getting in the way of people really
Mhm.
making those moves. And I mean, if you really sit back and think about, everybody's got something that they should have been doing. Like, you should have followed up with that big client that you really wanted the business, or
Mhm.
return the call of someone who reached out to you for an opportunity or podcast featuring. But
Right.
you get in your head and you're like, what if they say no? Or wait, is
Mm.
this real? Or am I qualified to do this? Can I call myself that? What makes me,
Right.
you start, and it will stop you from doing the simplest things
Simplest things. You're absolutely
that
right.
make you success. All you have to do is answer the email that someone is already interested in you, like
Right.
in working with you. It's crazy. I've worked with so many attorneys, and they tell me candidly, like, I don't know why I can't follow up after a consultation. This person paid me. It went well. Why can't I just send the email and say, it was great speaking with you. Here are our next steps? I'm like, why
Yeah.
can't you do that?
Mhm.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, that you're
Yeah.
talking about so many things, so many and it seems like small things, but it's big things, you know? It's like the I don't know if it's an elephant or it's a blockage or whatever it is, it's stopping us from being great. And so how did you, when you went out on your own, how did you know, like, okay, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to start my firm and I'm going to, like, shoot for the stars. How did you deal with some of these limitations, or were they non-existent for you?
I didn't know that I was going to be. I mean, no one has a crystal ball. I
Yeah.
mean, at all. And I will just say again and again that I never dreamed, literally. I mean,
Mm.
people say that all the time. Like, if you told me that I went from like not knowing what an office action was even to
Mm.
teaching it to other people, I'm just like, me.
Right.
But it just turned, but it just wove out that way. I definitely didn't know. What
Mm.
I knew was that I would figure out, I was just like, whatever, it's like one day at a time, and I will figure out the next step along the way. And if I fail, I fail. And
Mm.
one of the things that I will say to the people who come across me, right, and say,
Mhm.
must be nice, you got lucky, or that's great for you, or,
Mm.
any kind of like that
Yeah.
hateration sort of flavor, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it is nice to have, the work ethic, Like if that's what you're, I mean,
Right.
I worked it. Yeah. Again, I guess it's not luck. Right. But,
Mm-mm.
what I tell people is, as much as I was hoping for success, I was prepared for failure.
Mm.
Anybody can do whatever, again, whatever you want to call I've done or do, anybody can do it. You
Mhm.
got to be willing to throw it all. Like literally, you got to be willing to throw away what you were doing that was safe zone, right? I had a
Mhm.
salary job, corner office in Buckhead, Atlanta, like the whole bit,
Wow.
could have been partner track if I wanted to, but like I knew I didn't, whatever.
Right.
Um, and I was willing to walk away from that to see my own ability. And anyone can do that. If you're willing to risk it all, you can have it all.
Mhm.
But you got to be willing to risk it
Risk
all
it
to have
all.
it all, right? And
Mm.
it's two in the same. But no one has the crystal ball. You don't know. All
Right.
you know is that you can meet your challenges and the opportunities with the best ethic that you can, the best
Mhm.
effort that you can, and give it your best shot, and believe in yourself. As cliche as it sounds, but yeah, no, I mean, no one knows
Mhm.
they're going to be successful. Like
Right.
even now, I will say, like so many years later, and so many levels of growth,
Mhm.
revenue and otherwise, right? Because I
Mhm.
measure success by like waking up and getting to do what I want. I don't think the
So do
numerics
I.
matter. Yeah, like, and so in that sense, I will, carefully say that I've reached success, but
Mm.
it could all disappear tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it could all disappear tomorrow. So then what? Right. So you're never really done. Like you can never really rest on your laurels, so to speak. I mean, it's
Right.
always a grind. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. You said that so beautifully.
You can fail at any time,
Yeah,
but yeah.
for sure. And so how did you so you had this walk, you found success in your business. What made you decide that I'm going to start teaching other attorneys to do what I'm doing?
Yeah. Create a whole crop of competitors. Yeah.
Yeah, like who
I
does
know. It's
that?
wild.
Mhm.
It takes a special level of like comfort, humbled confidence. And I didn't have
Mm.
it. I didn't completely think that through, to be honest with you. At
Okay.
the time that I taught it, I was like, wait, just kidding. All these people. But my own practice only skyrocketed after that. I hit the 1 million
Ah,
revenue mark well after 2 weeks of Trademark's launch. That was in
wow.
2017.
Mhm.
The first iteration was fall 2017. So next year we'll be doing a 5-year anniversary birthday.
Woo!
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I didn't hit a mill until 2019, end of 2000.
Mm.
Yeah, 2000. So it was 2 years later,
Wow.
but it made me more public, and people found out about, even if they didn't enroll or they weren't interested, they were like, oh, she does trademark. And I don't want to do that. Or that's cool that you're teaching it, whatever. But like, I have a referral, so I'll send it over. That kind of stuff
Oh,
happened a
nice,
lot.
nice. Mhm.
But what made me want to start teaching it, again,
Mhm.
is very candid. I I had decided I wanted to do trademarks. I decided that that was going to be it. And no, there was nothing. There was nobody who was like, let me sit down and teach you. Let me show you how it's done. Let me,
Mhm.
there was none of that. There was
Right.
absolutely none of that. And I struggled with it so much, to the point where I will share a story, again, not naming names, but like,
Okay.
I somehow managed to land at third year out of law school, which is like nothing,
Mhm.
somehow managed to land an interview for an in-house position at a pretty large fashion company, like a
Mm.
fashion brand, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was a brand I hadn't worn my whole childhood, and I was like, oh my god, this is the pinnacle! Like, this is
Right.
amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, my law school classmate like was already there, and she managed to like pull me in, and she was like, Sonia is the trademark girl, blah blah, whatever. I managed to get past first round, second round. They flew me to headquarters,
Mhm.
and you got, like, you're going to die. The Where the mess up came was, I killed the interview, went through all the
Mhm.
higher level and all of that stuff. The last stage, right after lunch, they said, we just want to make sure that you have like an elementary understanding of like how trademarks work. So we're just going to give you a little quiz, like literally
Mm.
a written test.
Wow.
And now, I mean, I would do that in my sleep. It was like, um, what is a 2D office action? Is it
Mhm.
likelihood of confusion? Is it descriptive? Like,
Yeah.
simple shit for, again, for now, but for
Yeah.
that time from, I was bewildered.
Oh, wow.
Bewildered, because
Okay.
all I knew is that I wanted
Mhm.
to do, and all I knew was how to present my personality and my work ethic. But no,
Yeah.
I didn't actually know trademark law. Like, I
Mhm.
didn't have any idea. Totally failed the quiz, didn't get the job.
Aw. I
And
now
And
you were probably heartbroken. You're like,
well, I was. And that's the thing. Had there been some sort of resource like 2 weeks of trademarks, I
yeah,
would have paid for that shit the night before the interview. Right.
right,
And I remember like being up that night, like looking for anything I could find just to
right.
study.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have totally gotten the job. But here's the other aspect that I want to mention is that
Mm-hmm.
the woman who was leaving that position, which is why it was vacant, right? She was moving on to a different position,
Mm-hmm.
was a friend of my friends. And that's how, we got the role. She's like, okay, it was a very
Okay.
inside job thing.
Mm.
That woman knew that there would be a quiz. She didn't tell me.
Oh,
Yeah. We
wow.
had multiple conversations leading up, and she told me all about everybody's personality and like, hey, you want to make sure that this guy, he likes to ask you this, blah, blah. Didn't mention a quiz at all. Didn't say anything about the academics of it. And I'm like, why would you not? Like, you have no stake in this game.
Right, you're leaving.
You're leaving. What do you care? I mean, the position has to get filled by somebody.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, there were so many moments like that along the way that I could tell you many stories of lack of preparation because there were no resources. Not that I wouldn't have paid for them. I would have paid millions of dollars for what I have now presented. I mean, because it would have gotten me to what I wanted. And the lack of sort of like teammate, like we're in this together. Like I was like,
community,
another woman did that to me. Like that sucks. Right. And so that willingness for someone to say, you know what? I mean, first of all, it wouldn't have been any skin off her back. Like it's not, I'm not her, I wouldn't have been her competition.
Right.
But I wanted to take a step further. Like this actually could, like you are technically competing with me, but that's how much I believe in the pie getting bigger if we share it. There's enough to go around. And yeah, it was experiences like that that really made me be like, no, I don't want to be like that. And so the second I started knowing what I was talking about, I started teaching. I was like, I'm going to start telling other people how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. When you said that Trademark was the only course that you loved, like what was it about it that, and still till today, like what is it about it that you love?
It was the only thing that made sense to me, like on an inherent level, because I've always enjoyed like business and marketing and like all the stuff I did, like internships, schooling, part-time jobs. I always excelled in like the business marketing brand type of stuff.
Okay.
Even my retail position, right? Like I worked at this like home goods type of store in high school, and I like just understood, like I would always be the person that they would put to do like the appliance demos, like on Saturday mornings, like you show the food processor and all the features and like what makes it different than this one. And I don't know. I mean, it's always been my like marketing and that kind of stuff has always been I've always been fascinated by that stuff. So I think it just resonated with me. Yeah. In a past lifetime, I also was like very into brands like Chanel and Prada. And like, that was like when I was now, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a luxury brand anywhere in this house. Like, it's funny how when you can't
afford it, you're like, I'm okay.
I'm going to invest it. Like, no. But like my splurges are different. Like this apartment is 1.5 blocks from Huntington Beach. Like I can see the ocean from stepping outside. So my splurges are just different now. But at the time I had this fascination with like brands and luxury. So, that fits into like Trademark too. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to like think back that far. I mean, we're in end of 2021 now. I mean, I graduated law school in 2010. So yeah, it's a long time.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. It goes by fast though.
Yeah, 100%. And so you think,
by fast.
Right. You think your love for like marketing and all that stuff is how you got your course to be so successful in terms of putting that out?
Partially, but I think that the course is because it's a couple of things that I've now become aware after talking to so many of my students and trying to understand, like,
which
what makes you love it. I know. It's really, it's the honor of a lifetime. Because right now that you hear the story about how like I failed a quiz, not knowing what a freaking 2D was, and now to turn around and be a thought leader and to be the person who's teaching it, like, it's just the joy of, it's the joy of a lifetime. It's the honor of a lifetime, because I am now ensuring that no one will go through that again. If you're willing to invest in yourself, I mean, obviously, knowledge comes at a cost, but if you're willing to invest in yourself, I'm not going to let anybody fail a substantive trademark interview ever again. And actually the opposite has happened, where now people who take the course will put it in their cover letter and they'll say, I've taken this course, and the person reading it is, there's a good chance they might know who I am, right? If they're in the trademark community, they're hiring for such a position. And to find out that people are getting interviews and positions because of my course, or using it to create high revenue firms of their own. It's just,
Mhm.
it's just like, pinch me, pinch me. It's the honor of a lifetime. It really
Wow.
is.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, but learning and
Mhm.
talking to some of my alums, right,
Yeah.
trying to understand, I think the course is successful for two reasons. Number one, I think it's personality and its delivery, right? I joke
Mhm.
around a lot. I
100%.
cuss. I tell stories. And I talk to, like, I teach the way we're chit chatting right now. It is like your
Absolutely.
girlfriend is rolling up to your house and being like, all right, girl, open your tab. We're going to do this. Like, and it's very conversational. And
Mhm.
again, I mean, this isn't an act. Like, how I am with you is how I am with my friends on the weekends, how I
Right.
am as a lawyer, right? My clients enjoy the same rapport of that. I may
Mhm.
cuss a little less, but like the same
Right.
kind of joking around is there, right? So I think it's just personality type. Like, I just approach things in a very fun, kind of cool, casual way that isn't
Mhm.
boring, I think.
Right. Mhm.
But the other reason that, and maybe they're 50-50, I don't know. But the bigger thing that I think for my trainings and my materials is
Mhm.
that it's not just, okay, uspto.gov, click here, do that. I
Yeah.
mean, theoretically, if you were willing to pay anyone, maybe you might be able to get them to show you, but it's not the instructional by itself. It's that I bring the business acumen, I bring the marketing
100%.
acumen,
Mhm.
right? And so, like, yes, that's a big part of it, but you can't do that. Like, you can't learn a practice area and then not have anyone to do it for. Like, what's the point?
Exactly.
And so
Mhm.
you can pay for, like, a treatise or like McCarthy's or Westlaw, but that's only half the battle. If you have no clients coming in, or if you do have clients, this is something I've done that I've stumbled upon the last couple of years.
Mhm.
You may have people calling you and scheduling consultations, but if you don't know how to have that conversation, you're going to lose that hard-earned lead, right? You do all this
Right.
marketing and someone finally contacts you and it has a consult and you don't know what you did wrong. You don't know what you don't know. And
Yeah.
so I talk so much in my courses about how to run a consultation, how to talk, how to do, there's a framework, there's just a way to do it.
Right.
And what makes me, I think, different is that I'm actually showing you the business side of it and I don't hide anything at all. Like, you can ask me anything and I'm super transparent. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my thing is I'm like, okay, you might be able to find you someone maybe who can teach you trademarks. Okay.
Mhm.
But teach it in a way where you're not bored and it's interesting.
And you
Okay,
get
maybe.
it? Yeah.
And you get it. And then now you're filtering down to, and they teach you how to create a business around it.
Mhm.
That's Sonia. That is my special sauce. Like,
Yeah.
I've come to learn that on the back end. I didn't know that in the beginning. I didn't, but
Yeah.
now I realize that.
That's something that was I thought was extremely revolutionary. When I took your course. First of all, I saw your course like probably half a year to a year before I actually took it. And then when I actually took it, I'm like, girl, you played yourself. You should have took this so much sooner. As-
Says that.
oh my
I'm just
God.
like, it's all in due time when you're ready.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
But yeah, so it was like one, you were just normal, talking like a girlfriend, like you said. Two, it was so easy to understand. And there were so many points where you just relate to us, just because you're real, you're just being your real self. And then the business side, as you've said, like in law school, they don't teach you the business side. They don't teach you how to deliver the service, right? And so that's the part that you sort of bridge that gap, and it just was super invaluable. You're right. $1
thank
million
you.
would have been worth it. Mm.
It's my I mean, no, it really is my pleasure. And I think this is really that chance to walk that walk. Everybody says they're a team player and, oh,
Mhm.
women helping women and minorities helping, but like, can you really walk the walk? Like, will you give away your secret sauce knowing that
Mhm.
these people are essentially competing with you? I mean, as much as my business has grown
Uh-huh.
since, despite or because of me teaching this,
Yeah.
of course, there are potential clients that went to, probably one of my students as opposed to me now, right? And there's
Okay.
just more choice out there.
Right.
I'm okay with that, right? But like, that's walking the walk to me. That's like, you're willing to give away. But
Yeah.
again, the pie you have to believe that the pie gets bigger, when you share it.
And
The
it does.
other thing that
Mhm.
really is anchored for me as I go through the different stages of entrepreneurship, business leadership, thought leadership is
Mhm.
that you really, I mean, if you can say all day, oh, I don't care about, luxury and, I'm cool with just, well, I don't need a lot, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, if you care at all about legacy, right, to kind of weave in what we were talking about in the beginning, if you care at
Yeah.
all about leaving your mark, legacy, impact on
Mhm.
your community, then you have to do well financially, because it's money that's what makes this world move. I'm sorry to say it. It is what it is, right? It may not buy happiness, but it is the currency of this world. And so if you want to have scholarships, if you want to give away iPads to young women who are trying to get educated, if you want to open schools, build schools, spread knowledge, right? Have impact on your community, that money pays for that stuff. And so for me, whenever I do kind of start to get burned out, and I'm human, right? But I think like, you can't do the things you want to do and leave that mark, right? Unless you've got the money to show for it, right? And it's money what moves. And so it's that impact, but it's also the fact that, you know, as a little girl, especially as a young minority or a woman of color, a little girl, right? For her to grow up and see people like us doing those things and being in these positions, it makes her feel like she can do it too. It makes her actually believe it. She's not just told it, but it's actually visually proof, right? And so when I'm in my community, right, I'm Middle Eastern and I'm Pakistani and Egyptian, like when I'm in these communities and like little girls are like, oh, I want to be just like her, right?
Oh,
it's like, you can actually do it. I look just like you. I speak the same language, right? And so that is crucial, right? It's crucial because you're never going to be able to have that legacy unless you have the money to back it. And if we don't do it, who's going to do it, right? I mean, it's our job. Yeah, 100%. That's the mark. That's the mark I want to leave. If I'm showing minority women and girls, right, and minorities in general, people in color in general, that you also can be in that millionaire category. You also can have the finer things in life. You can fly first class. You can live by the beach. You can do all those things. Why not? Right. So it ties in your childhood story too. And it's all like one big messy pot of, you know.
I mean, I love that because you really painted the picture. And now I don't have to ask you what's your legacy because you already answered it.
This right here, I'm living it. I'm living it. I beyond my wildest dreams. So, you know, to have somebody like you approach me and say the things that they say, and I know that you mean it, that it impacted you. I'm like, my work my work here is done, y'all. I just have to make sure I bring my best self to you guys. But I found my zone. I found it because, you know, and what I also kind of want to say to viewers and listeners is that the path of success may look different. When I was growing up or like, you know, early on in the legal stages, I thought my zone was going to be like star trademark counsel for insert fashion brand. I was going to be in the news and giving interviews and blah, blah, blah. And it didn't turn out. It could. I'm pretty sure if I really wanted to, I could have made that happen. But my path ended up steering me to this, and I wouldn't trade it. This is what I was born to do. I mean, I love it so much. I love it so much.
100%. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Sonia. And I love how you just connected all those dots, how our legacy is so much more than the money. Number one, it's the happiness, it's the representation, it's the, you know, showing someone else what's possible for them. And that is absolutely, absolutely true. Absolutely true.
It is. It's showing you what's possible because a lot of us didn't grow up seeing that, you know, and we need, you know, in your head, you're like, well, yeah, I'm sure my bank account could technically have more money in it, but like, do I believe that I deserve it? Do I believe that's in the cards for me? Is there something blocking that? And I really challenge viewers and listeners, like sit with yourself first thing in the morning, late at night, like no phone, no music, just sit with yourself and think about the things and experiences and paths that you really want and figure out like, what is it that's stopping you from doing it? And I mean, keep filtering down until you realize it's one email that it's hitting publish on that blog post that's been sitting there because you're too scared. It's tap go live and just do it. Right. I mean, like there was a time where like I would have never opened the camera like without but I realized like it's either that or zero. Like if you don't show up, it can't be that like perfection standard. And we get in our own way sometimes.
Absolutely.
You think you got to have your lashes on and your hair and no, you're making excuses for yourself. And I know, because I used to do it. You're making excuses for yourself.
Thank you. I used to do it too. I pushed myself much more. Like,
And you know what? The whole, I do want to add this in because I think we're almost at time, but a lot of us hesitate on the going live, the video, whatever. What are people going to think? What if people make fun of me? They say negative things. I am not going to sit here and be like, no. They will. People will absolutely talk behind your back. They will say horrible things. They will critique you to your face. You'll find out from someone. You will be betrayed by people who you thought were your friends. You will get talk shit about. People will judge you. Do it anyway. Because you know what? Are they paying your bills? Are they leaving your legacy? Absolutely not. It's sitting here today. I can think of 3 people in the last 3 days that have, crossed me, betrayed me. I heard something they said about me, and like they don't even know me that well. Or some of them, one kind of knows me, whatever. But I'm like, oh, we're gonna keep rocking on. You are not gonna stop this train. Absolutely. So no, it's not all sugar coated. Like, oh my God, no one's gonna say anything. Just go for it. They will talk shit, but do it anyway. You have to, because that's your legacy at risk.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't even add anything to that because you just said it so wonderfully. Thank you so much, Sonia. You don't, not at all. Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you if they want to participate in your courses, if they want to just be a student of yours and everything else you have going on?
Or ask anything. I'm an open door. Awesome. I will say publicly that I wish I had the bandwidth for like individual chats and calls and coffees and stuff. And I did earlier on, but I still want to stay connected to people who have questions if they want to learn more about anything that I do talk about. It doesn't have to be like enrolling, right?
Okay.
But Instagram, I'm Trademark Lawyer Lady. My website's Lakhany Law. You can search me and everything comes up, Sonia Lakhany. Or if you just want to go straight to the course, it's 2weekstotrademarks.com. Super easy. TeachMeTrademarkLaw.com. I actually own that domain.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, I got nuts. You know what? It was like 3 glasses of wine deep one night. I started buying domain names and I was like, this is going to be fun. We're gonna make this fun.
All the domain names.
Yeah, I got nuts with it. Yeah, you got to have fun in life. So TeachMeTrademarkLaw.com.
Awesome.
Yes. All right. Is there anything else I can answer for you? Anything else that we didn't cover?
Ooh. Anything else that we didn't cover?
Girl, this is your one shot. No, I'm just kidding. You can call me anytime. Yeah, no, call me anytime.
What can I think of? Is there anything you regret?
Oh, it's such a good question.
That was a download.
Is there anything I regret? Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Okay.
Because half of me is like, most of me is like, no, even the mistakes contributed to like where you are, what what you're doing.
Yeah.
But everybody's got some regrets. Let me dig one up. You know what? I'm going to be real for a second. Real. I wish I had understood or believed more in the legitimacy of mental health before, like earlier on. So now I believe in the legitimacy of it. And you know what? I'm going to go on a limb and say that I think this too is a product of immigrant culture, minority culture, people of color. Like, I can't speak for anybody else's family, but my mom does not believe in self-esteem, psychology. Like, she doesn't think mental health is like not a thing. Like, if you're crazy, you go to therapy. You're not crazy, go back to work. Like, get back to work, get up and go to school. Like, she does not, like, our culture, at least the one I was raised in, does not. Okay. All right. So you get it, right? Like this legitimacy of like taking care of yourself and taking rest. No, we are immigrant. We hustle, we grind until we're done and until there's, and it's this, like, there was a great article that I don't have a link to, but if you Google badge of busyness, it was a HuffPo article years ago. Like, we wear it like an honor. And then you add lawyer culture on top of people of color culture. The hustle, grind, bragging about how little sleep you got, how you haven't taken a vacation in X amount of years, and how, and I'm just like, and I mean, again, I am human. I grew up with that, and I didn't understand the legitimacy of how important rest and breathing. I mean, really, like, breathe, taking time, and not when your battery is empty, but before it should stop it from getting empty. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I've hit burnout multiple times in my career. I've had that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, there's not some magic switch that like makes you believe in your own mental health. You usually have to like go down before you come back up. But yeah, I would say if I have any regrets, it's just not taking that stuff more seriously. And I don't know what the solution is, but it's super important. It is, because we are not raised with the mindset to take care of ourselves, and not as women, not as women of color, not as lawyers. I mean, we have all the odds stacked against us in terms of mental health. We really have to work to undo 100%. Some of those beliefs.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable in that moment and sharing that. I had the same issues or, experiences, because, I used to think something was wrong with me because I felt like I needed a break or I needed a rest, or I can't keep going at this pace, And to normalize it, like, yeah, we're human. Like you weren't built to operate like this. You were built to have periods of rest and to recoup and recover. And
You're wired that way. And if
mhm,
for any listeners or viewers who are like, yeah, but my goals, my hustle, my grind, let me leave you with this. All
mhm,
of that will go to absolute shit if you're not well rested and well fed and well nutrition. And I mean, like you physically, like if that's your only priority, and look, there was a time where that's all I cared about. All I want to do was make it in my mind,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And I at any cost, and it did come at a cost, right? My
mhm,
rest, my well-being, all that
mhm,
kind of stuff. But like that's why I say my regret is looking back.
mhm,
Had I just been more taking care of myself, I probably would have reached bigger goals and faster
mm,
because I'm more alert and I'm taking, there was periods where I was eating fast food, and year one of entrepreneurship, I gained all this weight and did
mhm,
all this stuff. And now I take time and I prepare my meals and I cook and I'm careful about what I do. I have a personal trainer. Like that is, again, these are luxuries to
right.
some people. They are necessities to me because
Mhm,
if I'm not well in mind, body, spirit, all of that, right? There's no way I can show up in the way that I need to show up
mm,
to leave the mark, leave the legacy, and all these small goals, big goals. So
yeah.
if even if hustle is your only goal, just know that you're not going to do very well in that, if you don't take care of yourself. I mean, you just physically can't. So there's that
Yeah,
too.
100%. It's almost
Yeah,
like how they say to pay yourself first, like, in your savings
100%.
and investments. So paying yourself first also is taking care of yourself, you know?
Yeah,
That's
and it's a form of self-care. I mean, it's a form of
mhm.
self-love. I mean, I don't work out because I hate my body. I work out because I love it. I think my body deserves to feel good. You guys,
Yeah.
you do so much. You guys have been through so much, Yeah. So
100%. Oh my God. Thank you,
any other
Sonia.
questions? Anything? Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, you're
Nah.
welcome. Thank you for having me. What a great conversation.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You are such a well, I already knew you were amazing, but like just to hear you talk about all these things that are so real and so, poignant. A lot of times people who are successful don't want to let you know that they're human and that they, go through these things and that these are the things that we really should pay attention to. You're not telling people like money's the most important thing. You're like, life is more important than that. So
It
I
is
love
hard.
that.
And I was like that too. I used to
Mm,
really, like I said, I wouldn't show up if I didn't have everything perfect. And I wanted to only present a very polished front, like, oh, I
mm,
have it fully together all the time. And over recent years, I'm like, no, I am not okay. I am not okay. I broke up with my boyfriend and I don't want
mm,
to be here. And,
mm.
or like my dad is ill, or I just
Aw.
honestly, we don't say this enough. I just didn't feel like it. I just didn't want to.
Yeah, and that's
Like
okay,
I
right?
just couldn't even. You wake up and you're like, not today. Today ain't it. Some
Yeah.
days are pedicure and smoothie days, and some days are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and you're still not done days. I mean, it's a mix
Right.
of both.
It
It's a
is.
mix of both, but you got to have both. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have both. And that's the thing where it's like it's not necessarily balanced in the way we think it's balanced, but it's balanced in making sure that you're finding the time for those other things that your body needs.
Always.
100%. Thank you, Sonia. I so appreciate
Thank
your time. I
you.
love talking to
Thank
you.
you. Likewise. Thank you
Mm,
for having me. Truly. And
sure.
I'm excited to hear what people think. And like I said, if you want to reach out, Instagram's probably the easiest, quickest way. Trademark Lawyer
Okay.
Lady, my
Mm,
email address, phone number, website, all that stuff's public. So
okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
All
All right.
right.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a good one. I'll
All
talk to you
right.
soon.
All right. You
Bye.
too. Bye bye.